Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Voice of Vaping, Vape News Radio, show numero 2. We're going to call this the RJ Vapor Show because in a minute you're going to hear an amazing interview with the RJ Vapors division of RJ Reynolds. It's taken me a while to kind of get used to that because they spun off an entirely new division. So to give you a heads up, we're here all about educating and informing you about this exciting vape space. The big news, which was dated a few weeks ago now, but is very important, is the FDA finally coming down with these regs that we've been waiting for a long, long time. They came down on April 24th, and if you're following the vape scene, you've seen articles, you've asked questions, and man, we've gotten a lot of questions here. And truthfully, when you really boil it all down to the 240-plus page document, there really wasn't anything there that startled us, and for the most part, we think that they are heading in the right direction. So let me kind of go over some of the major talking points that the FDA came out with. Number one, which is one that we absolutely commit and adhere to, no sales to minors, no one under age of 18. So for those of you who are in the vape store business, please start carding people right now if you've not been doing that already, because this is one of the major contention points when it comes to local government. The local government is getting a lot of heat by the schools because they're finding kids in high schools and sometimes younger than that with all kinds of smoking gear on them. So it's really important that you honor that. If someone does not appear to be at least 25, make sure that they're 18. So here's some really good news. Right now, according to the FDA, no ban on internet sales. This was one that had a lot of people very, very nervous because there's a lot of people who are listening right now who don't have brick-and-mortar stores, but they, in fact, have online presence, and that's great. So as of right now, the FDA is not going to be interfering with internet sales, and to be honest with you, I don't see them doing that. It seems like when you get away from the brick-and-mortar and get into online sales, the rules are quite a bit different, and the FDA is taking a very practical approach, and they're staying the hell away from it, so kudos on that. Also, no ban on advertising, which is also good. So as we talked about on show number 1, this is a little bit of a slippery slope because the government really doesn't have the right to be able to say what we can and cannot advertise as long as it's not offensive or vile or detrimental or anything else like that, because otherwise you're treading on freedom of speech, which is our First Amendment, of course. And so you're not going to see anyone really getting up in arms about bans on advertising. All right, the next on the list is no sample giveaways, which for those of you who have shops, you're probably cool with that because now you don't have to worry about giving away a lot of crap for free for people who are never going to buy anyway. If you're out there with a kiosk, if you're out there in a convention, that's okay because they have their own rules and you're able to vape in environments like that. But in a retail environment, in a brick-and-mortar store, pretty much across the country, let's just play it on the safe side, no giveaways. Another good step in the right direction, no ban on the use of flavorings. All right, so let's talk about this for a second. There was a lot of controversy over what the public deemed to be the appeal towards children, and children in this instance is anyone under the age 18. So when you start putting flavors out there like Captain Crunch and gummy bears and different types of flavors that are kind of related to childhood, there was a lot of people who said, hey, wait a second, these people are out trying to ruin our children, and the answer is we are not, no one is. But right now, there is no ban on the use of flavor, so for all intent and purposes, all that is going to remain as it is. There is some leeway to claim that e-cigs are less harmful and safer. No, not healthy. You don't want to go into that very dangerous area and say that these are healthy, because now you've kind of put that line in the sand, the black and white sand, and so don't go there. So we have the leeway to claim that e-cigs are less harmful and safer as long as that claim is based on science, which is awesome, seriously, because we have all kinds of documentation, all kinds of studies, all kinds of reports that do in fact validate that e-cigarettes are much less harmful. It just so happens over the last couple of days I've had some clients in from out of state in for some training, and we were talking about the fact that when you compare a regular combustible with an e-cig, you have certainly a less expensive cost, you have lower levels of nicotine if you choose to, and you also have the ability to not inhale all those 4,000 contaminants once you put a lighter or a match to it. That's what really is causing a lot of these problems. New health warning. If, in fact, what you sell has nicotine, and some of you, of course, are selling those with zero nic, and that's okay, but you have to put a claim on there that says, health warnings note that nicotine is involved in this product. All right, so here's the one that is probably the most controversial, probably the most uncertain, and the one that's probably going to push the final regulations back further than anyone would like to see. It basically says that the FDA is going to review all products released or updated since February of 2007. So let's pause for a moment. So really what we're saying is that any new product that has been introduced since 2007 or any new product that has been upgraded or modified since 2007 is now going to be scrutinized by the FDA. So guys, for all intent and purposes, that's pretty much 90%, 95%, maybe 99% of everything that's out there, because prior to 2007, there really wasn't very much out there at all. So the question is, what type of criteria is the FDA using? So this is primarily going to be affecting the manufacturers much more than the consumers. The consumers, they don't really give a crap because it's really not affecting them. It is affecting anyone who is producing juice. So the biggest targets in that agenda is big tobacco and similar producers of e-cigarettes. The reality of it is that the technology involved is a lot more elaborate. It's a lot more complex than in batching up juice. So the big tobacco companies and anyone who's selling any type of e-cigarette, they're going to be spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to validate their materials and their processes and prove that they have a quote-unquote safe product. So here's the problem with this type of mindset. Here's the problem with this type of rationale. Now what's going to happen is that all these manufacturers that are now, I'm not going to say rushing to market, but certainly running very quickly to market, this is going to slow down their brand new introductions of new technology. As you're going to hear a little bit later when I interview RJ Vapes, they spun off a whole new division. They created this whole new line of e-cigs called Vue, V-U-E. And so what's going to happen here is this type of mindset is going to hamstring the technology advancements that the industry already has. And it means that they're going to be spending a lot of time defending themselves rather than improving what needs to be improved. If you look at something so simple as the computer industry, look how much technology has advanced since 2007. Well, the bottom line is that the vaping products, it is a technology device. It's interesting, as we talk with RJ Vapors in just a few minutes, they call it a nicotine delivery device. It's not really a cigarette anymore. So this is how the big tobacco companies are kind of separating themselves from what you would consider the old institute, the old industry of cigarettes. So the reality of it is that right now the FDA has a 75-day grace period with open feedback. And so what they're saying is that anyone and everyone who's going to be, quote-unquote, victimized by these new rules and regulations, you have 75 days to voice your opinion with the FDA. You can call, you can write, you can go online, you can go over there in person, and you know damn well that we're going to be having lots and lots of people who are going to be flooding. So the reality of it is that 75-day period, there is no way they're not going to be able to extend it. So